Hey all, my name's Michael, welcome to the channel, and we're going to be getting into some 4chan stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Now, let's begin. Be me, 34, been dating Rachel for almost 3 years. Met her at a CrossFit gym. She was 26 and seemed really driven at first. I was working as a project manager at a construction company, making decent money but nothing crazy. She had just finished her marketing degree, talked big about starting her own social media agency, had impressive plans about building a personal brand and helping small businesses. Relationships started pretty normal, thought I'd finally found someone mature and ambitious. First few months, she was actually pretty independent, had her own apartment and part-time internship, but slowly started noticing red flags I ignored because I was getting older and felt pressure. She had this victim mentality about literally everything in her life. Every job she quit was because of a toxic boss or workplace discrimination. Would guilt trip me constantly when I worked late or had weekend site visits. Started creating elaborate stories about coworkers bullying her to get sympathy. Began isolating me from friends by picking fights before every social event. Would have convenient panic attacks whenever I tried to maintain boundaries. My work performance started declining because she'd call during client meetings. Stopped going to CrossFit because she claimed the other women there were trying to steal me. Was constantly walking on eggshells, but convinced myself this was just mature relationships. Had limited serious dating experience in my 20s due to career focus, figured this was normal. She moved in with me after 8 months when her lease mysteriously wasn't renewed. Claimed her landlord was sexist and targeting her specifically. Around year 2, things escalated when she started seeing a therapist twice a week. Used every session to build a case against me and justify her behavior. Therapist apparently diagnosed her with complex trauma from our relationship dynamic. Started weaponizing therapy language against me in every single argument. "You're gaslighting me" became her response to any disagreement or boundary. This is emotional abuse when I asked her to contribute to household expenses, but I still tried desperately to make it work because I was already 32 and felt desperate. All my friends were married with kids, felt like I was running out of time. Convinced her to try couples counseling, thinking a neutral third party could help. Spent $200 a week on sessions where she'd perform for the therapist. Slowly worked through some surface issues, established better communication patterns on paper, got back into fitness routine and work life somewhat stabilized, felt like we were making incremental progress, actually started seriously thinking about proposing, felt like we'd invested too much to quit, bought a $3,000 ring and was planning the proposal for her 29th birthday. Then Rachel discovered luxury lifestyle TikTok and became absolutely insufferable. Started following these women who post about their rich boyfriends and sugar daddies. Would spend 6 to 8 hours daily scrolling through content about designer bags and exotic trips. Every single day was complaints about what other couples were doing. Madison's boyfriend bought her a Tesla just because she got her real estate license. Look at Sophia's engagement ring. It's like 3 carats. When are you actually proposing? All my friends from college are living in luxury high-rises while I'm stuck in suburbia. It was like she actively sought out reasons to be miserable about our relationship. Most of her complaints involved expensive lifestyle upgrades I couldn't afford on my $78,000 salary. She had quit her 4th job by this point, claiming her boss was micromanaging her. One night, she's literally sobbing because some 20-year-old influencer got surprised with a Cartier bracelet. I'm trying to comfort her, but internally thinking she's completely lost touch with reality. Couldn't understand why she would torture herself watching rich people's highlight reels. Decided to be proactive and suggest we make a realistic financial plan together. Let's save up for a beautiful ring and start looking at nicer apartments in the city. She got incredibly excited and immediately started planning our engagement party on Pinterest. Spent weeks researching wedding venues and making elaborate mood boards. Created a whole Instagram account dedicated to our future wedding with 0 followers. We agreed she'd find stable employment while I'd handle the majority of our savings goals. Committed to putting away $800 monthly toward our engagement and moving fund. Instead of job hunting, she'd sleep until 2 p.m. and order $25 acai bowls. Would get $20 specialty coffee drinks daily and justify it as supporting local business. Constantly ordering DoorDash even when we had food in the fridge. When I brought up the job search, she'd say, "I'm prioritizing my mental health right now," or "You want me to take some soul-crushing corporate job and be miserable like you?" Started accusing me of being financially controlling when I questioned her spending. That familiar anxiety from year one began creeping back into my daily life. After 8 months, I'd saved $6,400 while she'd contributed absolutely $0. Actually went deeper into debt buying clothes and skincare products. When I showed her our budget spreadsheet, she had a complete meltdown. "You make all the money anyway, why should I have to work like some peasant? I provide emotional labor and manage the household. That's worth more than money." Pointed out that managing the household meant ordering takeout and leaving dishes dirty. Told her we had originally agreed she'd find employment. She called me controlling and abusive. Started threatening to leave and expose me on social media for financial abuse. Few more months of this exact same pattern, me working 50 plus hours while she spent freely. Began hiding money in a separate account because she discovered my debit card PIN. Found out she'd been using my credit card for online shopping sprees. Finally confronted her again about our completely failed financial plan. She went absolutely nuclear and said she was done with my poverty mindset. I'm 29 now, I shouldn't have to beg for the lifestyle I deserve at this age. I need a real man who's already successful, not some middle management loser with no ambition. Told me she'd been settling for me and deserved someone who could actually provide. Moved out that week and immediately started posting Instagram stories about escaping toxic relationships. Created a whole narrative about being financially controlled by an abusive partner. Breakup felt like waking up from a 3-year psychological hostage situation. All that couples therapy, personal development work, trying constantly to be better. Realized I'd been systematically manipulated by someone who never intended to contribute anything. Found out she'd been telling her friends I was cheap and holding her back for months. Discovered she'd opened credit cards in my name that I had to spend weeks disputing. At least I'd somehow maintained some positive habits during our occasional stable periods. Had most of my savings intact and could focus on rebuilding my actual life. Got back into serious fitness routine, started a side consulting business doing project management, began therapy myself to understand how I'd allowed this dynamic to continue for years. Biggest mistake was still obsessively checking her social media like a masochist. Would scroll through her stories late at night watching her new lifestyle content. Somehow, she was immediately living exactly like those influencers she used to obsessively follow. Expensive steakhouse dinners, designer handbags, weekend trips to Miami and Las Vegas. Never showed the guys' faces, but you could see luxury sports cars and expensive watches. Posting from first-class airplane seats and 5-star hotel suites constantly. Absolutely no idea how she was funding this lifestyle, but it filled me with rage. Used that anger and resentment to fuel 5 a.m. workouts and late-night client projects. Started making serious progress on personal goals I'd neglected during our relationship. 18 months later, I'm in the best physical shape of my adult life with $25K saved. Got promoted to senior project manager with a $95K salary and profit sharing. Side consulting business bringing in an additional $30K annually. Bought a decent condo and finally felt like I was building something real. Women at work started showing interest. Dating apps were actually producing matches. Felt tempted to jump into something new, but was absolutely terrified of repeating patterns. Knew I had serious codependent tendencies from my relationship trauma with Rachel. Started being very selective about who I'd even go on dates with. One evening, I'm at the gym doing deadlifts when my phone buzzes with her contact. Hadn't heard from her in over a year, heart immediately started racing. Message says, "Hey stranger, hope you're doing well, I miss our conversations." Felt like I was having a legitimate panic attack seeing her name on my screen. Took me almost 4 hours to respond with just, "Hey, I'm good, how are things?" She immediately replied with multiple paragraphs about how much she's grown and evolved. Claimed she'd been in intensive therapy working on her attachment issues. Said she'd been reflecting on our relationship and thinking about what we had. Asked if I wanted to meet for drinks to reconnect as evolved adults. Against every logical thought in my head, I stupidly agreed because curiosity won. Later found out through mutual friends she'd seen my LinkedIn promotion announcement. Also discovered she'd been asking people about my financial situation. That's exactly what triggered her sudden desire to reconnect. Classic opportunistic behavior. She showed up at the bar looking exactly like those influencers she used to obsessively watch. Professional blowout, designer clothes, expensive jewelry, the whole performance. We talked for over 3 hours. She was using all her new therapy language perfectly. Sounded like she'd rehearsed every response about taking accountability and doing the work. Ended up back at my condo because the physical chemistry was unfortunately still there. My new place impressed her, kept commenting on my glow up and success. After hooking up, she starts casually giving me updates on all her old obsessions. Remember those couples I used to follow religiously? Turns out most of them were completely fake. Madison's boyfriend was actually a married sugar daddy. She was basically an escort. Sophia's engagement was entirely staged for brand partnerships. They broke up immediately after. Turns out like half these lifestyle girls are just high-end sex workers pretending to be girlfriends. Lying there realizing she'd systematically destroyed our relationship, chasing literal prostitutes' lifestyles. Now she wanted back into my life because I'd finally become the stable provider she rejected. Felt completely disgusted with myself for falling for her manipulative performance. Told her very directly, this was a huge mistake. We're absolutely not getting back together. She immediately switched into full manipulation mode with crocodile tears. I have genuinely changed so much, I finally understand what real love actually means. You're the only man who ever truly understood and accepted me. Please give us one more chance. Started love bombing me with compliments about my transformation and success. Reminded her that she'd literally called me a middle management loser on her way out. She kept desperately begging, promising she'd be different, using every manipulation tactic in her playbook. Held firm and told her she needed to leave my apartment immediately. She completely lost it and started screaming about how I'd regret this decision forever. Called me pathetic for throwing away true love and said I'd never find better. Stormed out of my building and keyed a long scratch down the side of my car. Had to file a police report and pay $800 for paint repair. Knew I'd made the absolutely correct choice, but felt angry and violated for months afterwards. Decided to only pursue women who had established careers and genuine personal ambitions. Next relationship would be an actual partnership, not me funding someone's Instagram lifestyle. Learned that desperation and loneliness make you accept treatment you'd never tolerate when confident. Therapy helped me understand how my fear of being alone made me vulnerable to users. Took another year before I felt ready to seriously date again, but it was worth the wait.